Hi, freshly showered Trent here, and I just got out of the shower. I've been taking a really long shower. That's where I've been. You know, back when I was a kid, I was a Nintendo boy. I had a GameCube, I had a Super Nintendo, I had a Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, later on a DS. Always kind of been a Nintendo kid. However, a Nintendo person, if you will. However, back in, I want to say, 2006 or so, I was at my cousin's house, and I was just playing on my limited edition SpongeBob Game Boy Advance SP. That's right, I have it. It's right outside the door. I just didn't think to grab it. What do you want from me? Anyway, I was playing something on my Game Boy, and my cousin comes up to me and is like, "Hey, check this out." And she hands me this black device. And immediately, I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. And I say, "What is this?" And she's like, "Don't worry, just watch." And then a cutscene plays where a dude's putting on a helmet, and he's like shaking around or whatever. I come to find out later that was Ape Escape, but it blew my mind because to see something that was like a PS2 quality game on a PSP was kind of insane for me. So that was always something that stuck with me, and I knew for a long time that I really wanted a PSP. Never got one until 4 years ago, 5 years ago maybe. I got one, and it didn't have a battery, and then I got another one that also didn't have a battery, but finding a replacement battery for that one was much easier. So I have two, and I have a couple games, and I just kind of want to talk about the PSP a little bit, kind of a rundown of what it was, why it, while successful, didn't necessarily take off in the way that I think Sony and a lot of people thought it would, and also just talk about some memories and some of my favorite games on the system. It's going to kind of be a weird shot video. We're going to see what happens. So I think a video of this style requires a different camera angle, so let's do that. Welcome to my desk. It's a disaster. We don't need this. We definitely don't need this. This is a place of worship. This is a place that's seen a fair few sloppy joes in its time. But this is my computer desk, right? All right. So you're gonna be staring at the stain all fucking video. I know you will. I can tell you what it is. It's not a sloppy Joe. It was an Italian sub. This is a PSP. This is the first model. It's a bit of a thick boy. This is the 1000 series. This lanyard. This is a 1000 series PSP. Now, this is the one that I was talking about that did not have a battery. So, yay. The only way to use this is if I plug it in, and then make sure the cord reaches, and then it unplug. I hate my life. I don't even know if this is gonna work. And turn it on like that, and turn it on like that, and it just doesn't work. All right. Well, I'm going to look into this more, but apparently this PSP doesn't work. But the main difference between the other models of PSP, which I believe there's 4, is this one is a bit of a thick boy. It's got some nice little love handles here for you to just like grab onto. It's me. Hi. Whoa. But yeah, it's a bit of a thick boy, and the mechanism for loading in the games is a spring-loaded door. You see? It's a boink. Yeah. Plus, the games come on these cute little UMD things. They're basically just like a little CD inside of a plastic shell, and these plastic shells broke all the goddamn time, apparently. Again, I wasn't a kid when I had these, so I wouldn't have known. But, yeah, so this is the PSP. This is, I mean, not the exact one, but this is the exact model that I was handed that fateful day when I first was introduced to it. And this launched right alongside of a couple noteworthy games. Like I said, Ape Escape, it was a remake of the PS1 classic. It also launched with Ridge Racer, Metal Gear Acid, which is one I don't have, Spider-Man 2, which is one I also don't have. One that I do have is Tony Hawk's Underground Remix 2, which is essentially just kind of a loosely, I don't want to say dumbed down, but stripped back version of the console game. It, by and large, most of the console game is here. It's just structured a little differently. But this was what was impressive, because I had Tony Hawk's Underground 2 on Game Boy Advance, and these were not the same game at all. And I loved Underground 2, but wildly different. So this is what the PSP launched with. Of course, there was a lot more, but a bunch of them were just kind of like Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2005. Do you really care? I didn't think so. But yeah, they came in their own Now, as you can see, this one's been chewed, but they came in their own little plastic kind of DVD cases. They're reminiscent to the size of a Switch case. But yeah, here, I believe this is a UMD shell that was replaced. I think. I have no way to prove this. I'm sure I could Google it. But as you see, these ones are marked with the PSP, the logo, the UMD Universal Disc. This one's just a clear shell that houses the disc. So part of me believes this was broken and replaced. I mean, the game still works, but yeah, Crisis Core over here has a white case. So I don't know, man. So this system itself came out around, 2005. And was a pretty modest success. Too bad Nintendo decided to release The Second Coming of Christ and release the Nintendo DS also in 2004. While the DS kind of, whatever, it very quickly took over, and I think I know why, but we'll get into that as we keep moving on. So, this model was 2004.
Hi, this is me editing. I just want to state for the record that I'm a goddamn moron. I have a second monitor right here. I could have just had all the stats pulled up, and I didn't. It was released in March of 2005, not 2004. All right, bye, back to the video. Hi, how you doing?
But it had some issues, right? This door apparently stops working for some people. I think the battery life was kind of poopy. And some people just didn't like how thick this was. Like, this isn't a very, I mean, it's as big as my hand, right? Like, it's not like the most portable thing in the world. So Sony, in 2007, released this. This is my personal PSP. This is the one that I use when I use a PSP. As you can see, I have a battery for it. It's generic, but I have a battery for it. This is a much slimmer, as you can see, a much slimmer design. Not by much, honestly, but it's a slimmer design. It feels nice. Like, it feels, I'd say this one feels more premium. Like, this one feels like more work and money went into it. This one kind of feels plasticky and kind of like, but this is still a very well put together system. And I do like this one a lot. So, why the fuck are they not working? I swear to God, I will kill myself. Okay, what the hell's going on now? Another cool thing you could do with the PSPs and their UMD format is they offered movies. Here I have Akira. I wonder why that is. The whole movie is here. Both English and Japanese versions are here. And on a small screen like this, or like this one over here, they basically looked DVD quality. Like, they looked really good. Of course, you could play these on a TV with an adapter specifically made for this one, and blown up on a big screen they look kind of blech, but on a screen like this, hell yeah. So your options at the time were either portable DVD player, which was probably the best at the time, a video now, which most of them were in black and white. They only really got the color variant later, a PSP UMD to watch I say this with full knowledge that this isn't right, DVD quality movies on a small screen specifically like this. Or the alternative, which was, of course,
this isn't copyrighted, I swear to God, this isn't copyrighted, no copyright, Mr. Smash Mouth, please leave me alone.
So I think you'd rather, quality-wise, you'd rather watch this. You'd probably rather watch Shrek, but quality-wise, you probably would rather go with the UMD on a PSP. But, that's just my take. And yes, this is a modded Game Boy. Screens are not normally that bright, but, To flip back to the other camera, why did the PSP not do as well as Sony and I think a lot of people thought it would? Well, it still did well. I mean, if you look up the list of the best-selling consoles of all time, you do have the PlayStation Portable, the PSP, in 11th place at 80 to 82 million units that were sold, and that's great. But the problem is, Sony also made PlayStation 2, which is still currently the #1 selling console of all time at 155 million units sold, and the DS selling 154 million units. So why did the DS take off and do better than this, which should have done leagues better? I think it all just comes down to the games. Nintendo's obviously been in the handheld market longer than Sony has, so they have a better understanding of what people want to play, and people don't necessarily want console games on the go, which is an odd thing to say, seeing as the Switch is currently the third highest selling console of all time at 122 million units. But the difference with the Switch and this is this is a console quality game. This is a 36-hour or so long RPG prequel to one of the greatest RPG games that was on a console, an original PlayStation from Sony. And while this game is amazing and I love it dearly, I don't think people just want to be stuck playing a game like this on a system like this. I think they'd rather want to play it on the big screen, on their couch, just lazing out, watching numbers go up, as RPGs do. So I don't necessarily, I kind of think the focus on more like console type games for the system is kind of a detriment. Plus, the DS had just a stranglehold on the casual market. Like, I mean, they launched with Mario 64, and there were games for your so on and so forth, trademark, registered, copyright gamers. But there was also a whole market of people who picked up a DS because that bitch got Sudoku, it's got word searches, 100 classic great books, Brain Age, and Nintendogs especially. Nintendogs did wonders. Big, whoa. Yeah, the DS had a very different marketing strategy as to the PSP. The PSP's marketing was pretty in your face and like strange. I'd play the squirrel one.
Come out and play! I can't! I'm playing Nut! But there's Portable Nut! What? Yeah! It's a nut you can play with outside!
PSP. It's like a nut you can play with outside.
Whereas the DS's marketing was just kind of, you know, here's mom or grandpa and grandma playing Nintendogs or a word search or whatever. Here's Beyonce playing Rhythm Heaven, I think, in that commercial. Whatever. Here's Beyonce playing Rhythm Heaven. The marketing was very different between both consoles, but I mean, all in all, the PSP did very well. A lot better than its sequel system, the Vita, and I love the Vita. I adore that piece of shit.
Nice.
That thing only sold 10 million units, around estimate. It did very bad. Yeah, I genuinely think the big reason is, I think the big reason comes down to the three. It's Nintendo's understanding of the handheld market, console-like games that you could only play on the go, and I also think the marketing and type of games on the DS was just better. Maybe not better for elite trademark registered copyright gamer bros like us, but some people just bought DSs just for one thing because eventually the price dropped so far on them. That's the other thing. These never really dropped price too far. Like, I think they came out at $230, at like $230, and I think they went on sale or dropped or whatever by... Maybe they were for like 120, but they were selling DSs for like $80 when the DSi came out. And the DSi was just like an upgrade with a camera. I don't know, I think that's kind of why the PSP just kind of didn't fail necessarily at all. I mean, it did great, but I think that's why it didn't do better. Here's some of my favorite games on the PSP that aren't necessarily only exclusive to the PSP, but are better on the PSP. I'm gonna start off with games I don't have a case for, which is only one of them, I think. I have a couple that don't have a case, but they're not anywhere near good ones. A Ratchet and Clank Size Matters. Yes, sex. It's just a Ratchet and Clank game on the go. I mean, it works better on the PSP. It did get a PS2 port. The PSP version's just better. It just feels better. It's hard to explain, but it doesn't feel right playing a PSP game on a console. That's like another weird double-edged sword type thing with these is like, yeah, they're console type games on the go, but as soon as you put them on a console, they kind of lose that charm and they kind of start to suffer. Also, a lot of these games did get console ports either 6 months or day and date with the PSP released. I think 6 months later, this got a PS2 port, which, I don't know, if you were breathing and had a pulse in 2005 or whatever, you had a PS2. Everybody did. 155 million of you people did. You had a PS2. So if you wanted to play Size Matters, you just got the PS2 release. If you wanted to play Grand Theft Auto, Liberty City, and Vice City Stories, you just got the PS2 release. Like I have. I'd like to get them on here because I think they'd be better games on the PSP, but PS2 version's right there. And again, were you breathing in 2004? Yeah, okay, you had a PS2. Yeah, that's another kind of detriment. A lot of games you look at for the PSP also came out for the PS2, so oftentimes I think the PSP version is better because it was made for the control scheme of the PSP in mind, you know, only having one analog stick, me just fingerprinting up the screen because I grabbed the wrong side, but only having one analog stick, you know, one pair of shoulder buttons. They were designed with this in mind. They weren't designed for the dual analog sticks of the home console systems. They were made for this, so when you shoehorn in camera control, sometimes it doesn't work out correctly, and then you get to figure out what you do with 2 extra shoulder buttons sometimes, so it's weird, but yeah, Size Matters is a very fun Ratchet & Clank game. Crisis Core, I already said, it just got a remake last year, at the end of last year, I think. I haven't played the remake yet. I played this right before I played Final Fantasy VII for the first time. Yes, that's what I did. And I picked this up when it was cheap. I think I spent $12 on this at a game store. And this was before the 7 remake came out, like years before it was even announced, I think. I just grabbed it because I saw Final Fantasy VII and I was like, oh, it's just a port of Final Fantasy VII. Hey, it's not a port, you fucking idiot. I got it at a decent price. But yeah, this is a very, very good, very fun game, and if you're at all interested in what happened in the events before Final Fantasy VII or the remake, it's almost a must play. Super, super good. Another one that I am a big fan of. This is my first run-in with Disgaea. This game's fucking whack. I haven't played a whole lot, but this shit's nutty. It is the most, like, anime RPG bullshit you could think of. It's, do you want your character to just flick somebody for 10,000 points of damage? Level up a little bit and you'll be able to. I think the level cap is like level 9,999. They just give in to all of the RPG-isms and just go for it, and it's really funny. That's another good thing about this system. If you are into RPGs, good lord, this and the Vita are your systems. I don't know what you're doing with anything else. Get these, because holy shit. I'm not a big RPG guy, so I have to kind of work around and find goofy. Burnout. This is my first run-in with Burnout. Burnout Legends. Apparently the PAL version? Huh. I did not know that. Well, hey, PSP is also not region-locked, apparently. This is a great Burnout game. Plain and simple. If you don't know what Burnout is, it is just arcade racer bullshit fun at its finest. None of the cars are real cars, so you know what that means. They get blowed up. Because we don't have to worry about Ferrari getting mad that we made their car explode. So these are fun, yeah, and especially I think this is probably the perfect PSP game because this is very much a pickup, play a couple races, crash a couple cars, kill a couple people, like yourself in the carnage you cause, and then you just put it down. It's probably the perfect handheld game for the PSP. I really like this one. And then lastly, I think my favorite on the PSP, not really for its selling point, but for everything else that it has, Castlevania, the Dracula X Chronicles. This is a remake of Castlevania Rondo of Blood, or what is it, Devil's Castle Dracula X Rondo of Blood. Is that the Japanese title? I don't remember. I know AVGN made a joke about it a decade ago. Close. It's Demon Castle Dracula X Reincarnation of Blood, or Rondo of Blood. Anyway, it is a port, or a remake, rather, of Rondo of Blood, otherwise known as Dracula X over here for the Super Nintendo, but that's like a muddy, awful port. This is a remake of the TurboGrafx CD game. The remake goes one of two ways for me, right? In one way, I appreciate them going back and remaking it with 3D models and whatever. On the other hand, I think it's kind of ugly.
Most of the game is like beige, brown, black, gray. Like there's like no color to the game. Where if you look at the sprite art of the original game, it was a colorful son of a bitch. I also think some of the platforming kind of got a little... because now you're using 3D models instead of like pixels for hitboxes. Some of the hitboxes seem a little... And I'm not trying to just say like, oh, it hard. I know Castlevania's hard. I love this series, but like, something's off about the remake. I don't know what it is. Something doesn't seem or feel right. The good news, once you do specific things in the remake, like you have to rescue a certain character or use a certain item at a certain place that of course has no description, so you gotta go to your good old friend Mr. Google and look it up, you can unlock the original Rondo of Blood in its entirety, and Symphony of the Night as well, which is really cool. So that's there because, I mean, Symphony of the Night is a sequel to Rondo of Blood, if you don't know that, because most of us didn't know that at the time because we just got Symphony of the Night and not Rondo of Blood, so, you know. But yeah, you get both of them here, as long as you do specific things in the remake. That's kind of, it's okay, it's, like, fine. You know, it's an okay remake, it's not, like, great, it's not bad, it's just, like, it's good, I think, but, this package in of itself is very good. Some things I really want to get, Mega Man Powered Up, I'd love to get. I do want to get the Grand Theft Auto games on here. I think Persona 3 Portable would be pretty neat to get for this. Not gonna say 100% that I'd play it, but I would definitely try it. Yeah. Loco Roco I'd like to try. Crush I'd like to do. I'd like to get as well. I mean, Disgaea 2 at some point. I mean, there's more or less, it's just kind of... Oh, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep I want for this so bad. I completely forgot. I played the remake on the PS4 collection, and Birth by Sleep is so good. It is like second best Kingdom Hearts game. Unfortunately, Kingdom Hearts 2 exists, but Birth by Sleep is so good. And that came for the PSP. So like, there's a lot of good things. And like I said, I cannot stress enough. If you like RPGs, dear God. Dear God, get this. The Vita as well. The Vita has so many JRPGs on it, and so does this. Most of them are good. I mean, Persona 3 Portable, it's called that because it came from this. Even the remakes that we just got recently on Switch, PS4, and Xbox, it's still Persona 3 Portable because they realized this was the best version of Persona 3. So, like, the console's got some good shit. It's just... I still think, biased Nintendo person, the DS might just be a little better, but that's just me. Editor Trent coming back live in full to tell you I forgot a couple things. One, the PSP has a proprietary memory card. Here's footage of it now. I'm going to talk over it because that's how editing works. Also, my face is very disgusting and valuable right now. The PSP had a proprietary memory card called the Memory Stick Duo. And you could only use these with the PSP at the time. Nowadays, you can hack your PSP to use SD cards and stuff, but at the time, this is all you got. And also, there are two other versions of the PSP that I just failed to mention because I don't have them. There was I believe it's called the 3000s series. I could be wrong. I don't know. The only real difference is that it was a matte black instead of it being like the shiny, very easily fingerprinted up other PSPs. Here's a picture of the matte black one here, and then the other one you could get was the PSP Go, which was a little too ahead of its time for its own good. That was a PSP that slid up like an old phone, and the controls were underneath it, and there was no game slot. What you did is you downloaded games from the PlayStation Network and played them digitally there, which doesn't sound too out of the ordinary now, but for 2009 or whenever it came out, I can Google, hold on. Oh, I was right. For 2009, that was a little too ambitious. So it didn't do very well, and it's the least desired PSP. I don't even think that you could I don't even think you could put more memory into it. I think you just had whatever storage it had. I think that's all it had. But yeah, that's it. That'll should cover my bases. I'll just throw this in anyway. But thanks. Bye. The PSP Go pictured here. See ya. But hey, that's gonna do it for this video. I'm gonna try to capture footage of the games to throw in while I'm talking about them, but you know. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the video. Thank you for watching. I hope some kind of a point was made with this. That's gonna do it for this video. If
you liked it, please let me know. If you didn't, let me know. If you want these more structured, me too, buddy. I don't know. My ADHD just If you want to, go to my Twitter, check out my take, go to my TikTok, I guess. I don't know. My socials, everything's listed down below. Go check those out. Thank you to my $5 patron. Sorry it's been a bit, my guy. Man, yeah. I don't know when streams are going to happen again. I have actually no idea. I kind of want to do, maybe, don't take this as I'm doing this at some point, but I started repairing Game Boys, like these and the originals and the colors, and selling them as, you know, actually refurbished and fixed systems, unlike some people we know over here, right? Joey. And I'm having a lot of fun doing that, so I might, you know, some night just go live randomly just fixing some Game Boys, maybe. I don't know. It depends. It depends how much disposable income I have to buy on broken to then fix. So yeah, I'll keep you updated on that, I guess. Follow my Twitch and you'll see if I go live with it. And yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna leave it here. Anyway, the PSP, very fun. It's a good system, even though it still didn't do quite as well as the DS. But yeah, it did better than the GameCube.